Okay, this brings us to public comment on items not on the agenda. It's the council's policy to refer matters raised in this forum to staff for investigation and/or action where appropriate. The Brown Act prohibits the council from discussing or acting upon any matter not agendized pursuant to state law. Anyone for public comment? Please state your name and your street name.
My name is Richard Myers.
And into the mic, yeah.
Richard Myers, Bayshore Circle South. I come to you out of the conversation with Mr. Wong, the traffic engineer, of 8 years of frustration in the parking situation at between 33 Bayshore Circle South and 25. These homes originally along this little circle, I've been told, back in the 40s, it was built in 1945. They were little cottage houses after World War II, built purposely for the soldiers to have a home through the GE bill of home ownership. I talked to the grandson. This is mine here. And at one time, believe it or not, all the little houses in the circle were the same as this one, including this one was a little one. Now the city of San Bruno, especially on Atlantic Avenue, if you look, there's little cottage, cute little cottage, same square footage of lot land, and then a humongous mansion, 3-story. They go right up to the lot limit of the line. They push it to the limit, and subsequently, this was actually sold. These are sold as single-family homes. Now, what's happening here? This is a 5-bedroom house. They have 13 tenants in there. Each one owns 2 cars. Every time I come home, they're parked on their lawn, up their driveway, 3 abreast on their lawn, obviously in front of their house, in front of my house. I can never park in front of my house. They've even have the nerve, I call it another thing, to park on my lawn. So I come to you out of David Wong, this proposal to have the permit situation. I'm all for it. I'm so frustrated, 8-9 years of can never park, have to go up to Herman. I saw the plan. It's basically a big triangle. And I would hope it go through because I think maybe 1-2 permits per structure. And when you're getting these families that are building these mansions, and then he's renting out rooms and taking all the parking spaces. So in my case, I just came to see, hopefully you do plan it. So the city has something like it. You get a permit, I think it's 2 hours, 1 hour parking, except if you have a permit, meaning you live there and you're registered in the structure. I asked Mr. Wong, well, would this house have 13 permits and I'd only have 2 or 3? It's per structure, which I think is very important. And that's basically, I talked to the grandson. He said that one time these were little houses. I'm totally against, unless I was a rich tech person making $1 million a year. They're doing this down in Palo Alto. They're buying little cottages. They call it scary little $1.6 million cottages, knowing they're going to tear it down, use the same land, and build a 3-story mansion. And so please get it, the permit plan approved, and I would be issued maybe 2 or 3, and this structure would have to park far away.
Okay, Mr. Myers, we do have a subcommittee, and they are working on that.
Okay,
and
I'm for
I'm
it.
sure you'll get informed.
And finally, if ever you become state senator, any of you, please, this Jarvis Gannon issue, this house, he's paying a third of what I'm paying in taxes. I pay $5,000 and he's paying $1,000. And he's
Okay, thank you very much. I have a card. I have a public comment card for Robert Rico.
Contact information to the clerk.
Honorable Vice Mayor Ibarra, council members, and City Manager Jackson. Recently, Robert Rico, 7th Avenue. Recently, there was a long article in the Daily Journal about non-biting midges causing a storm. As your trustee to the San Mateo County Mosquito and Vector Control District, I'd like to share with you the following information. San Mateo County Mosquito and Vector Control District spokeswoman Megan Sabay reports. San Mateo County Mosquito and Vector Control District has received dozens of calls last week from worried residents in Foster City, Redwood Shores, and San Mateo Shore neighborhoods. No calls have been received from San Bruno. We probably won't see these, but since the article was in the paper, we just wanted to clarify and to advise you of a couple of things. Are these midges dangerous? Do they carry disease? Should the public be concerned? Megan Sabay says, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Adding sudden population increases happens every few years. They don't bite, they don't spread any disease, and they aren't a threat to human health. They're just annoying. However, with mosquito season about to kick off, she emphasizes it's critical for residents to report cases of bites to the district. Unlike its response to mosquitoes, the district doesn't spray to combat the non-biting insects. Midges are a natural part of the ecosystem, and since they are not any threat to human health, the district is just going to let them do what they do in the ecosystem, noting they only live a few days and swarm sightings are expected to subside within a couple of weeks. With the welcome wet weather helping to bust the statewide drought, the increased rainfall has bolstered breeding grounds for insects like midgets, which lay eggs in bodies of water. Swarms of midgets have also been reported in other Bay Area communities like Marin and Sonoma counties. But while they may look like mosquitoes to the average person, they're little more than a nuisance. In fact, they've caused alarm of seen traveling in swarms of hundreds. It's precisely that behavior that in part differentiates them from problematic mosquitoes. Midges tend to form true swarms, so you'll see a cloud of them moving across the field or a cluster near windows and doors. District crews have been dispatched to collect samples and confirm they are not mosquitoes after the district received dozens of calls. In summary, in the meantime, the district has a few tips to coexist with non-biting midges. Keep doors and windows closed, as well as patching any holes is important. People are also encouraged to turn off porch lights, which are known to attract midges that are typically more active in the evening. To date, San Mateo County has not had a case of human contacting West Nile virus in the area, and it's important the public work collaboratively with the district to combat the threat of diseases. We've had a very wet winter, so the district is starting to see more mosquitoes as we head into spring. One thing we're trying to remind the public is we don't want them to panic over midges. If they're getting bitten, that's a separate issue. Further information, you can contact the district at 344-8592 or go to their webpage. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Seymour,
Thank you.
state your name and your street, please.
All right. My name is Steve Seymour, and I am part of an organization called SanBrunoNow.com. Thank you, council members. At SanBrunoNow.com, 200 residents took part in a parking survey. The results support a need for our city to take action in many parking impaired neighborhoods. I'll review with the city and the community the results of this survey. 70% favor the parking permit program. 58% believe all vehicles registered to an address should be permitted. If there was a limit to parking permits, then 52% believe there should be a cap at 3 per household. 9% believe households should have 4 or more permits. 71% believe the parking permits should be free. 81% believe they are entitled to the parking directly in front of their home. 72% believe people who block the sidewalk should be fined. 72% are in favor of 2 hours or less parking for a non-permitted vehicle. Now, this was a survey that was limited, but these are the questions that were asked. I'd like to share with you some of the comments from 76 residents who left comments. The first one is, I believe the first parking permit per household should be free, with a modest fee for the second, but a steeper and increasing fee for each subsequent permit. 2, I believe I should be able to park in my driveway if not blocking all of the sidewalk and there is plenty of room to get by. 3, I've seen too many limousines and alike vehicles for businesses using public streets for long-term parking purposes. Cherry Avenue near YouTube buildings is a good example. 4, enforcement needed for parking and code violations like parking on lawns and other illegal areas, no oversized vehicles, and no permits to limos and business vehicles. So those are comments. There were 76 of them on my survey. A city's #1 priority is to protect the health, welfare, and safety of their city and residents. Our current parking issues affect all 3. We ask everyone in San Bruno to visit sanbrunonow.com and get involved in the pursuit of safer communities. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak at public comment?
Sandra Perez Vargas from Mastic Avenue. Yesterday, I was part of a small group of residents who met with Connie, the chief of police, and another person on a motorcycle, a police officer. We were there to discuss the very dangerous intersection at Cherry and San Bruno Avenue where recently a young lady was killed. She was hit, and it was a hit and run. We don't know who killed her, but it remains a very, very dangerous intersection. And Connie said that they were going to be looking into it, reviewing it. I don't know how long that takes, but I think minimally, while you're studying this, they should at least paint where the pedestrians are walking. The white lines are almost faded. So if you do nothing else short term, if you could paint that, that'll give us as pedestrians some sense of safety, even though it's a little bit, because that's a very dangerous intersection. I've almost been hit there a few times. Drivers don't wait for you to cross. They don't see the lines. We can't just wait around for an agency or someone else to tell us what we need to do. We need to keep our people safe. And another thing is, I'm going to also talk about the legal rental units. We have a couple on our street. 2 people move in on appearance. Pretty soon there's 6 trucks, 6 work trucks on our street. And the landlady just says, you know, whatever. And we have to drive around the corner, try to find parking while work vehicles are blocking our streets and our sidewalks, our red zones, the fire hydrants. Our streets are safer and safer, so I'm hoping that we get a more response and a plan to maybe just cycle through there, get all the unregistered vehicles off the street. That'll give us more room. Maybe they won't have to block some more, because whatever we're doing isn't working, and we need to stop this before it gets worse. Thank you. And I'm also in favor, before I forget, there's a lot of people here about the dogs in the dog parks. I don't own a dog, but I know a lot of people who do, and I do know.
You'll have to speak during that.
Okay, then I'll do that.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
I know, I thought it was public, isn't it public comments,
Items that are not on the agenda. Thank you.
right?
Items that are not on the agenda.
Okay, all righty, that's fine.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Hello. Jim Nickerson, 730 San Antonio Avenue. I just wanted to talk a little bit about the area along San Antonio. That's kind of a wooded area near the Caltrain tracks, and we've seemed to have accumulated quite a few homeless residents living there in encampments. That is increasing in numbers at an amazing rate at this point. There's a lot of concern in the neighborhood about the folks wandering around at night from the area. It was an interesting situation today. I happened to get home from work a little bit early today, and I guess there was a lot of interest in the area. And there's a Mercedes over there with no license plates on it in the wooded area. God knows how it got down there. But there's a lot of interesting activity going on day and night now in this area, and it's become quite a safety concern, and something I think that the city is probably addressing and looking into, but I think it's probably getting a little bit ahead of us, and I think it's something that we need to be on top of for the sake of the neighborhoods.
Okay. Thank you.
Reina Burgos at Flora Avenue. I want to address the, on our street, there are basically large vehicles like the school bus, and also now a van that is basically, it's for work, I believe. The people who park there, the school bus and this large van, don't live on Florida. And I want to remind, I want something to be done because they take parking from us, and some of us don't have even a garage to, or a driver for that matter. So basically, we have a war going on there, especially when these people park on Friday and they don't move it until Monday. Help us resolve this. We want to be part of the solution, but this should not be acceptable because they can park on El Camino and just simply walk. If you live close by, just walk. It's good for the heart. Or stop by Starbucks or, get a cup of coffee or whatever. Yeah, please, just be mindful that some of us don't have a garage or a driveway, so we have to park everywhere else. But thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name's Margaret Kling. I also too wanted
Your
to.
street, please? Just your
Oh,
street?
Genevieve.
Okay.
And I walk a lot. And I just wanted to concur and also add something to your walking over on Cherry and crossing on San Bruno Avenue, because I know many times when I'm trying to do this, people sort of. And if you're there, you're like waiting in the light, even though it's there, people are kind of looking, rolling. If it's possible, and I don't know, this is just a thought, when you see in Millbrae, they have that flashing, and the one that we've built down on the east side, the flashing lights there, is that, I don't know how costly that is, but it's just a thought to implement in that area. So that's just something I'm thinking of, that maybe if you have a thought on that, maybe we could implement.
We'll look into that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Last call. Anyone else? Okay.